It happened a long time ago. I think I was about 8 years old. And my father, of course, was a musician. He came from Italy. He was with one of his colleagues that came from Italy to South America. They came to as a group, as a chamber music group, that I started studying violin because for some reason from the beginning I wanted to be a violinist. Later on in my life I found out that my father loved the violin, even if he was not a violinist, but of course he was a composer and conductor. He had to study all the instruments, but his love was with the violin, so he was happy to see me studying violin. That's how my relation with music and with my instrument started. But my father had always this, how can I say, the desire of being a teacher, not only with me. He did it with everybody. Of course, he was a professor at the university, and but he wanted to tell everybody what he knew about music because he loved music so much. So I feel that I was very lucky that I had that chance. And every day during the week, before lunch, we would sit to play trios. He would play the piano, I would play the violin. This is sight reading. I mean, sight reading, I'm talking about not rehearsing, just trying to play the music without rehearsing before. So sometimes I didn't do things right. My brother was a cellist, especially the slow movement, the subdivisions, some things that are not so easy to play. He would really, get very angry. But I'm grateful that now I can read very well. It's not so difficult for me to read music. Thanks that I put an extra effort to read this small session before lunch. It didn't mean that we would play well, we were going to have lunch. No, we were going to have lunch. We would have lunch anyway, but always we had to play the Mozart trio, Beethoven trio, and at my age at that time, the music was not so easy. Yeah, I started my professional career in Colombia, of course, after I finished school. And there was a competition. The National Radio of Colombia had a competition for violinists, singers, and pianists. So I was studying already at university, and I went to this competition, and I was lucky enough to be the first prize in the violin category. So thanks to that, the conductor of the orchestra called me. He wanted me to be part of the orchestra. That was my first professional job in the National Orchestra of Colombia, playing the last stand of the second violins. And from there I started to move up until I became eventually, of course, first assistant concertmaster, associate, then concertmaster, and also associate conductor. Later on in my life, I became music director of the National Orchestra. In between, I was invited to play a recital in the United States, in Washington, D.C., and it was in Washington that I was offered my first job in this country. After a few years in the orchestra, I noticed reading the paper, the journals, the music journals, that there was a vacancy in the Philadelphia Orchestra and also other orchestras. And always my dream has been as a string player to play in the Philadelphia Orchestra because the famous sound of the strings. So I decided to try for the big leagues, that's the way we say, same like in baseball. And so I had auditioned for Philadelphia, and I decided to try, and then also I was already conducting, but I said, let me try first as a violinist. And I never expected to really be the winner, but I was, again, lucky enough, and We were about 35 people. It was a nationwide audition, and I was a winner. So that's how I became member of the Philadelphia Orchestra, and that's what I have been since 1968. When I was in Colombia, I went very high too fast, but I always kept conscience about that I had more to learn. So the reason why I left Colombia was not because I was not doing enough there. I was doing plenty. It was not economical. I left Colombia, was looking for more challenges, because I knew that I had a lot to learn yet. But my relation had been always that I like to be back, not only because I have a family there, but because I think that I can give the things that I'm learning here, give them to students there, to young people there. If I can help anywhere I go, especially in my native country, I'm very happy to do that. And also because I like to be in contact, I like to be helping as much as I can. Yes, my home is here. Yes, my home is here because my family, or my closest family is here. My children live here, and this is what you know what the destiny put us here, and I appreciate very much having the opportunity to be part of this environment. Yes, this is my home. That doesn't mean that you always like to be back in the native place where you came from. But I don't think that is, once you leave the place where you were born, it's never the same. Never stood still, like doing nothing. I always felt that every day you're in life to do something. Not only for your own benefit, but for others too. So maybe that helped to keep me going, and I like to be busy, and I like to what I do, and I couldn't do anything else. And I think that if my next few years are going to be like that, I don't mind being the way I have been the last 40 years. So I would say my evaluation is that I feel very positive, and I didn't make the wrong decision when I decided to become a musician. You know, you put so many years into an instrument, and it's difficult not to feel close and to feel that it's part of you. I don't feel satisfied with the instrument. Of course, you know, the becoming a conductor gives you such a powerful feeling of sound and also of command. But the instrument is not so close as, in my case, the violin is to me. So I always feel much more comfortable being with my instrument and being so close to it than when I'm conducting. The instrument is such a huge amount of musicians that you have to create things with your hands, and even you create things with your hands when you play the violin. At least it's closer to you, and you have a little more control. We are not synchronized with the brass players there, and also brass, it's difficult to hear the strings. I feel wonderful. I always was a teacher. I started very young teaching, and I think not only teaching, they give so much to others, which is part of my nature, but also you learn so much. It's like watching yourself in a mirror when you are teaching violin or when you are conducting a student orchestra. Uh, you see so many things going on that you have to become a grandfather, a father, a psychologist. My definition of music is something that gives great pleasure to the spirit, can help bring together nations without saying one word, help, in my case, to meet my wife, and help my family to be together too. I see music as something so universal, but at the same time, something that can be so in a small way, so close to you, even it being so vast, so huge, of a powerful art. So music to me is everything. Like the nice solo that
Yeah.
comes out.
Yeah, that stuff was coming. pieces from the orchestration. Intermezzo, Brahms intermezzo. Basses, letter C, and Brahms. Pizzicato is missing there. Bar 31, cello. Arco, cello, arco. You have it there? This is the part. Yeah. Okay. This is stored. So what time? Okay, in two. Let's do it in two. Brahms intermezzo. By the way, let me introduce to you Johnny Koo. Yeah. Let's start. One. Second part of the beat, okay? One. It's in two. Okay? Into. One more time. One. There's a wrong note, 2 before A. C natural. Okay. Now 2 before A, please. 2 before A, everybody. 2 before A. 1. Two before A is the G sharp, please, second of it. Okay? G sharp. Two before A. Okay. 1. Benissimo. Now leads D sharp, please. 2 before D. 2 before D, D sharp. Why is so difficult in 2? Let's try. It's a piano piece, of course. 2 after B.
Oh, there should be rest, yes. Quarter rest, a daddy quarter rest.
Okay? All right. So let's go back to 1 before C. Everybody, 1 before C. 1 before C, everybody. 1. G. Let's play letter G, please. Letter G. This is non-legato here, separate. 1. The legato. So the slur is missing. Letter G, horns and trumpet, second and fourth, and trumpet in C. Mi, la, sol, Papi is missing. Okay? So try 2 before G. 2 before G. 1. Two before G and 1. Okay, what dynamic? These two should be piano.
I think I put that in the
Piano, please, 2 before G. It sounds like a ba, ba is the melody, it's nothing there, right? And what about the dynamic here? All piano. All piano. But take letter G. Attention to the back. 2 before G, please. 2 before G. Now softly. 1.
If you live in the Philadelphia region, you know that our community has many talented people. Now, our next performer was to be a classical guitarist from right here in Philadelphia, but unfortunately, he's unable to be with us tonight. Now, that's bad news for us, but it's good news for him, because a couple of weeks ago in Italy, 18-year-old Solomon Silver advanced in an international guitar competition, and he's actually right now at this moment on an international performance tour in Europe. So that's great news for him, as you can see. He is, though, an example, a stellar example of the young musicians who have performed here in the Philadelphia area with the Temple University Youth Chamber Orchestra under the direction of our very next honoree. Luis Biava is the conductor in residence with the Philadelphia Orchestra, but it's his dedication to working with children that we're honoring here tonight. Since 1986, Maestro Biava has served as the music director and the conductor of the Temple University Symphony Orchestra. If that's not enough, he also works with the Temple University Youth Chamber Orchestra from the Center for Gifted Young Musicians. He has selected, no surprise, Temple University's music program to receive the $1,000 contribution, and his award this evening, appropriately, is sponsored by Bravo and the Independent Film Channel.
Well, it happened by accident, really. I was concertmaster of the National Orchestra in Colombia, and we were on tour, and the conductor got ill. So we had no assistant conductor on that tour, and so everybody said, well, the concertmaster has to do it. So Biava, you have to conduct in the middle of the concert. And we had full house, so that's the way that happened. And of course, I knew the music as a violinist, but then the conductor got better, and he said, you have to study conducting.
Violinist Luis Biava did study conducting, and after joining the Philadelphia Orchestra in 1968, was appointed its conductor in residence in 1994. In 1986, he became music director and conductor of the Temple University Symphony Orchestra and the Temple Youth Chamber Orchestra from the Center for Gifted Young Musicians.
I think a good teacher has to do a lot with knowing exactly how to present the problems and to solve them for the students, and also how to teach a student to practice, because it's not just the music itself, you know, it's hours and hours of trying to show them how really the best way to practice to achieve what they want to achieve.
Luis Biava, recipient of the Comcast Newsmakers 2000 Arts Award.
Tonight's Arts Awards is presented by Judy Lopez, Vice President of the Eastern Region for Bravo and the Independent Film Channel.
I want to thank Comcast for this great honor. It's a special joy for me to be recognized for something I love doing so much, helping gifted young people to achieve the highest standards in making music. Thank you again. Thank you.
Our next honoree
Pennsylvania Public Television Network. The network receives funding from the Commonwealth to provide public television for all Pennsylvanians. Major funding for the 2002 All-State Music Festival was provided by Festivals of Music and Music in the Parks, providing quality, competitive, and non-competitive events for high school bands, orchestras, and choirs since 1980. And by J.W. Pepper. For over 125 years, Pepper has provided music directors throughout the country with a comprehensive selection of music. Customer satisfaction is our priority. Pepper continues to be a leader in quality service to music educators nationwide. Pepper, it's still the music. And by the Pennsylvania Music Educators Association.
The PMEA All-State Music Festival is a way for very talented students in the Pennsylvania schools to have the opportunity to perform with their peers from all across the state.
The state level is different because it's music to a whole different level.
It's about becoming a more experienced and mature musician.
There's something that happens between director and students that cannot be written down or described. It's just something that happens. It's almost spiritual.
You get here and it's like, wow, it's going to be something I'll remember for the rest of my life.
These gifted young people represent the very best the Commonwealth has to offer in orchestral, choral, and band performance. Their achievements have brought them here to the Kimmel Center for the Performing Arts in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for the 2002 All-State Music Festival.
I definitely feel proud that I have gotten this far. It's just an honor to work with people who are as good as me or even better. And I think that was just an experience that you can't have every day.
It's a result of hard work. It's a result of the love of music. And basically it's a reward for doing everything that you're supposed to as a musician.
Being here is a great accomplishment. It feels so good to have made it, and it just builds your confidence and your self-esteem.
It is a great honor to be at State Choir, to sing with 160 other students with such great talent and respect for music under such a great conductor. It is a one-of-a-kind experience.
projection. I did pong. The wonderful thing about working with students, they are really like sponges. They are absorbing. They really take on their own all the phrasing, the dynamics of the music.
Working with Maestro Biava was a privilege. It's not every day you get to work with one of the conductors of Philadelphia Orchestra.
Maestro Biava is one of the best conductors that I've ever had. He gives everybody a sense of like they actually belong in the orchestra, and it's about him helping us to make music. He's just there to put it all together.
These are the finest young musicians I've ever had the opportunity to direct. They're good and extremely talented.
Dr. Mitchell gets you emotionally involved in the music and makes it mean something to you.
Music has to come from the heart. At some points when I'm playing the music that Dr. Mitchell has written, I gain shivers because I can feel the pieces. I can feel it running through me. And to me, that's what it's all about.
It's always a pleasure for me to work with younger singers. I am a college choir director, that is my day job, but to come work with high school students who haven't yet had that experience is very special to me.
It's been a great experience working with Mr. Raridan. He's very easy to follow, and he commands our attention.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly.
One thing that strikes me about Mr. Raridan is he's in the choir with us. When he conducts, his eyes light up and he looks at each and every one of our faces. He has left an impression on me that I will not forget.
Yes, indeed.
Take some of the stuff I learned here.
What is the benefit that the students can get out of this festival? I have to say the intensity of the work. What is the dynamic that you have there? You're going to be in 3 days here with the culmination of a great concert in the Kimmel Center, for example. Is something unique.
I think Maestro Biava has hammered home again that music is something that you have to love, and it's not just playing the notes, but bringing out your inner emotions and laying your heart out there in front of the audience.
I think there is something intrinsically valuable about music. There has to be something that we can aspire to, that we can reach for, that can touch us, that can make us cry and laugh. And music is one of those great magical things.
Music is all around you, anywhere you go in the world. I wouldn't be able to live without music in my life.
Music for me has been an uplifter when I'm not feeling so great. Just turn to music and it's awesome. And without that, you know, my life would be completely different right now.
I think music brings something to your life that's nothing else can bring. You know, it's almost like learning another language, except there are no words to it. And it's just a new way to express yourself, and I think that's the special part of music.
you.